Still love that.
Still, it's the end.
I
That
know.
just gets me.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
kind of like what the spirit did at the stables to me.
right.
Ah,
So, welcome everybody to another episode of the Cemetery Files, episode number 14. We have a special guest today.
we
Our
did
other
change our
guest had to
crawler.
work, so we have the wonderful John Griffin II. How are you today? So yeah, I'm looking forward to talking with you. It's been a little bit since I've interviewed you last, and yeah, it's been a long time coming. And you got quite a bit of stuff going on, and I see you all over, Facebook, everywhere, and that you're busy. So, why don't you kind of let a little bit of information get out to some of the people out there that haven't seen you before?
Certainly. I mean, first off, thank you for having me on. So my I run a paranormal team in upstate New York called UNI Research, and our team is basically a sponsor of a very haunted location called Wildwood Sanitarium, and I also have been working on a new series called The Path to Communication, as well as the producing and directing Paranormal Puzzle. Um, so, primarily, my main focus is research physics-based experiments into spiritual activity and such. But with that, there's so many different ways we're trying to tell the story, get other people involved, work with other people, and it's been very busy. In fact, the most recent thing I did, and it's actually kind of a dedication to my deceased brother Jeremy. I actually quit my job in pursuit of the paranormal.
Wow.
And it's something that I've talked about with my brother before he died that I wanted to do, and really push forward and help him, because I had promises I made to him. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to fulfill those promises. So, here we are.
Doing the best you can.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you had quite a bit of success with UNI Research, and already, I mean, and I know in regards to the passing of your brother, you guys have been on set to do some really great things together. Can you talk a little bit about how some of that has changed for you, emotionally and, physically, for some of the things that what direction you're going?
Certainly. Yeah, so I mean, for those who don't know, back in July of 2021, my brother Jeremy, he was our chief science officer for our team. He took his
I
own
love
life.
that title.
Well, there's a great story behind that one.
Cool.
So unfortunately, he took his own life at the age of 30,
Oh,
and he he when I approached him about it, I really wanted to evolve the UNI research team, and I've always wanted to create, these different divisions. And since we were expanding, I wanted to create a science division, because that's primarily what it was all about.
mhm.
And we were having this discussion, and Jeremy and I have always had super in-depth discussion talking about the universe, the meaning of life, just how everything works. And I decided to ask him. I was like, you know what? He's never been an administrator for any of my past paranormal teams. I would like to try to pursue this, because this is up his alley. So I asked him, if he would be willing to be the leader of the science division, and help develop that division. And he looked at me, he smiled, and he said, "John, only under one condition. I want to wear my lab coat."
I love it.
And
I love it.
and whether it was like a slight joke or not, I looked at him, and I had this big grin on my face, and I just was like, "That's the coolest thing ever." Yeah. So that actually became his trademark. He started off wearing a gray lab coat, which anybody who sees the pictures of me now in the current UNI research uniform, they'll see me in a gray lab coat. That's actually his lab coat, and I wear it in his
that's
honor.
awesome.
He did switch to a white lab coat at some point, but what
Yeah.
what this has done and changed. We were originally working on. We had made a significant progress with EVPs and understanding those, and it was taking us in a very unique direction. We started identifying trends and realizing the possibility that spiritual activity could be solved. That there can be physics-based explanations behind them that was actually supporting the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
When Jeremy ended his life, first off, I wish we were further along with the research, but it was like we essentially completed each other in a sense.
Mhm.
He had very specific knowledge, and I had very specific knowledge, and when you had us both together, it was, the conversations were just crazy. When he died, half of that, obviously that part went with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt at the same time 50% of myself was gone too.
Mm-hmm.
He did come through. He left in the big thing is that in his suicide, he left the last line of it was directed at me saying, "John, we'll be in touch, I promise."
And that's happened.
Yes. I can't count how many times. In fact, he has been around. He's actually been, when I've reached out to him, and he made contact, he's been helping. It's like I would say I feel like that's what he's been doing. There seems like he's been helping from the other side, being the chief science officer, but
he's still assisting you. Yeah.
Well, I got to ask a question because I've been watching this fog behind you just completely start engulfing that lamp. Is there like a light down below you on the floor that's pointing up?
It's pointing down, but there's a light over here.
Okay. All right. So that's debunked.
Okay. Yeah. So when when we interviewed you, or I interviewed you last time, with my friend Josh Hughes, and every once in a while when I think about you, or I need to get up there, I need to get to Wildwood, your brother comes through and like, yeah, you got to get up here, yeah, you got to get up here, and it's just he's so funny. I mean, he's got this joyous, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean, yeah, he like commends you all the time on the things that you do, and you know that, and that is a beautiful relationship. As sad as the events that transpired to his passing, which I'm truly sorry for, I think that because he's still right by your side in that sense, and I think that now that some of the stuff that you've discovered with him and some of the projects that you're on, I mean, you've got a really great thing going.
For sure. And actually, the last time we interviewed it was with Elizabeth Marroquin.
Mm-hmm.
And the kicker with that, I don't know if you know, Elizabeth joined UNI Research soon after the show with us, and
Right.
we ended up meeting with her at Wilson Castle. She's actually been helping with some of the productions and such. So, and even Jeremy's come through for her.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
She's never met Jeremy.
Right.
But yeah, Jeremy has it's a very different relationship. It's not obviously, of course, I'd rather have him here
Physically, right.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
But it's been interesting when he's come through other people. It's been interesting when he knows that for me, I require different many forms of verification because I know my brother. So I mean, if somebody comes through and says your brother's sorry for what happened or what he did, it's, well, I mean, that doesn't really tell me that that's my brother. I'm sure he's probably sorry.
Right.
But when I've had some people that have come like straight through and they say something very specific, he says, and
Mhm,
that
mhm.
only I will know.
Right,
Uh,
right.
it's quite incredible, and it gives me hope. And that's the big thing is my mindset went from, yes, we've got to solve the paranormal, we've got to understand this and help and be able to help people. But now I've always been protective of my brother, and the fact that my brother is on the other side, and it feels like I have no way of protecting him, and that's just
Mhm.
that's the big brother in me.
Right, right.
Uh, I need to know that he's okay,
Mhm.
and um, and I need to know that he still exists. So that adds. So before there was some emotion to it because it was more of a societal impact, and I feel bad for Jeremy because he was indirectly um, he was guilty by association because I was the one who opened up my mouth when I was a kid and talked about ghosts, and well,
Mhm.
immediately I was labeled as
Right, right,
I was
right.
crazy,
Yeah.
um, and people started when they realized that Jeremy was my brother. When he entered the same schools, they started making fun of him, bullying
Yeah.
him, and
Right.
it was simply because he was my brother and therefore guilty.
By
Yep.
association. Right, right. So,
So
talk a
join
little bit.
forces.
Yeah, talk a little bit about this. There's a new project that you're working on, and I
Mhm.
saw the pictures of it, and it looks really interesting. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Is that the one from this past weekend?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, So, and this is tentatively titled. I give all these projects different weird names sometimes. So this one is titled Project Talking Mirror,
Okay.
and the reason for this, I've never been a person because I've after uh, doing this to like intensely doing research in the paranormal for over 21 years, I've never seen anything about attachments, like no trends or anything of that sort that indicated attachments were a thing. I've never seen anything about mirrors. It was just like I knew this stuff was going on, but I never saw anything that led me to head down that road.
Right.
Um, and this one session, it was at another haunted location that we were filming at, called Sweet Home Estate, and it, Katie, our team member, second in command for our team, the COO, Katie Peak, she was doing a spirit box session along with one of our other team members, Sarai Richardson, and I'm filming them, and I'm watching as they're testing the spirit box near these scrying mirrors, and I started seeing as they were talking, and then they decided, I forgot what it was exactly that made Katie turn and actually start asking, hey, is anybody with this mirror? Is anybody with this mirror? Um, but something made her turn and start doing that. And as she was putting the spirit box up to each one, she was getting different responses.
Mm-hmm.
And then some responses were stronger than others. And I started to notice a slight trend at the beginning of which ones were giving strong responses and which ones weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So then I took the spirit box and started asking some questions. I did a rating system of 1 through 10, one being the least powerful mirror and 10 being the strongest. But I was asking them to rate the mirrors essentially. We didn't really have like a massive measuring system. Like we didn't really have anything. This was like a off the cuff thing. And as I started pointing at each mirror, um, different spirits were giving numbers between 1 through 10,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I'm blown away at that. Now naturally from a researcher standpoint, I'm like, are they just joking with me? Is this kind of just oh, let's play a game with them, um, or is this real?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what led me to go out and I purchased 8 mirrors. I didn't make them scrying. I just basically took eight mirrors and took the tripwires, brought them to Wildwood Sanitarium because the ghosts at Wildwood Sanitarium, I've been going there since 2018. I've been there over 100 times.
Right.
We have this personal connection between the spirits and I and our team. And I wanted to see, because I did some research on different components of the spirit box that could have an impact, or that could be impacted by mirrors. And it turned out, based off what I was reading, there was the possibility that the spirit box could be enhanced by the mirrors from a physics standpoint when we're talking about radio waves and such.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
So I wanted to test that. And that's what led to that experiment, which I haven't posted anything publicly for the results yet. I've been still reviewing them, but the first result, and I did have people that heard this when I played it back. The first thing I asked the spirits of Wildwood to do was, can you say test? Within a few seconds, clear as day, you hear somebody say testing.
Nice.
And I unplugged my headset so I could see if everybody else could hear it just from my computer speakers. They didn't even have to come up to my computer and listen. They were sitting further back and they heard it from further back.
Oh, wow.
So of course I'm sitting there going, first result, yes.
Right.
Right.
I was just looking. As you were talking about mirrors, it occurred to me that old mirrors use silver nitrate on the backing of glass to form the mirror. Previous mirrors were created from polished stones, like obsidian. But I'm thinking about probably the mirrors that have the best communication with them are going to be these older mirrors that are either out of stone or the ones that have the silver on them, because the silver is one of the elements that
Are
is
conductive.
conductive. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that's something that we're going to end up having to test, is the different qualities, because even as I was reading and I was looking, well, do radio waves bounce off mirrors and such? It was talking about different qualities of mirrors. It depends on the mirrors themselves and
Mhm.
what. And I was like, this is very interesting. So I ended up sending that to what I looked up. I sent it to Katie. I think it was like the day after that happened. And that's what caused me to go out and just for the heck of it. They're cheap mirrors. They're $7 a piece. I
Mhm.
mean,
Right.
but it was kind of a starting point. I just wanted to see if there was anything to it, and I'm going to do different things. So that was just like the first time we did 10 minutes with it. And I've got about at least 50 spirit box responses that were noticeable, that were immediately noticeable, that I want to go back and review. And ultimately could lead back to nothing. But after what I saw at Sweet Home, I wanted to test it somewhere else. I wanted to test it in a different manner. And what better way than the spirits of Wildwood? On top of that, my brother has a tendency to come to Wildwood as well. It was a second home for him as well.
Right.
Mhm. Right.
Right. So, what would you say would be, as of probably in the last 6 months, has there been something that you came across evidence-wise that really made you shake your head?
I would honestly, that was, if anything, that's the most recent one that kind of just.
Yeah.
There have been. I mean, I've gotten a bunch of other evidence, but they're all pretty much following the trends
Right.
that I've been finding. That one was just the one that, after 21 years, now I run into this. What?
Right. 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 Right.
It wasn't time for you to know this information yet.
Right. So let me ask you, John. Also, do you think that since you research frequencies, do you think that having different people who come to investigate a different collective, investigate like Wildwood, um, different times and this and that, do you think that frequency or whatever they bring to that location changes that frequency or the element of when you go back to investigate after, let's say, 3 or 4 different teams have been there, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. So there was another study, and this was another one that Jeremy and I were working on when he was alive, and it was because part of it was looking at auras. Now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, that's kind of hard to document, but the one thing that we questioned was when it comes down to the living. Um, people's personalities can change when one person walks in the room,
Hmm.
and like, let's say they're angry or stressed or something like that. They just have like a negative energy. Everybody could be happy in the room. This one person enters and people don't know why, but all of a sudden they're like, you know,
Hmm.
I'm so grumpy now. And
Right,
Right.
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 it made me question about, like, um, whether the body is almost essentially kind of an antenna in itself. Or even we looked at the aura, as
Yeah.
we were arguing that the aura could essentially be the external antenna that sends a message, because some type of energy has now, with a different frequency, has entered that space. It's registering what that energy is and then sending the signal and saying, "Ooh, this is bad."
Mhm.
Um,
Right,
so
right,
it made us wonder about ghosts as well.
right.
With ghosts being, different forms of energy, and from what we're seeing so far, it seems to be heading down the direction of the category of light energy.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, if they walk in and let's say they're vibrating at a specific frequency at the time, could that lead to the change in emotions for us? If we walk in and we have a specific emotion, personality, or something going on, bad things going on in the background in our life, are we walking in and essentially they're like, I don't like this?
Hmm.
Right, right,
Um, because I
right.
see people, Wildwood Sanitarium is a place of healing, and they're so nice there. The ghosts there are amazing. They interact with us all the time. So when I
Mhm.
hear people walking in and going, "Oh, I didn't really get anything," I'm like,
They didn't
"Really?"
like you.
Yeah. So, and I think that goes with a lot of, a lot of different other locations too. I believe that it's just the frequency or the intention that you're bringing into a location that you're, walking in with, the spirits will be able to see that. So, and I think that, you know, even when you talk about Wildwood in that sense and how you basically know all those spirits and they seem to respect you and the communication is flowing, and I'm curious if you've ever interviewed or talked to any other paranormal teams or and to see what they've got, if there is a trend of different element of frequencies and energies that go through that place to investigate compared to your history. You know what I mean?
Uh, I have talked to other teams, and it, there a lot of the ones I talk to, though, we end up actually investigating together.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, one of those people, Rick Perry, um, from another paranormal team, he comes to Wildwood a lot as well. Um, and when uh, when he comes in, it doesn't necessarily change the dynamic. Um, so when I've talked to him before, I know the spirits respect him there as well, and he was
Mhm.
coming there for the longest time too. Um, but we do see that, uh, what we're noticing, and it's not even just team related. Sometimes it's person related. Uh,
Mhm.
this
Hmm.
this happened with, so I have a established, a friendship with a little boy spirit named Tommy at Wildwood. He's like a
Mhm.
7, 8 year old boy, and um, who reportedly drowned.
Mhm.
And so I started at one point bringing some toys and trying to play some games with him, um, and he was responding uh, so well. And I always say I'm a child at heart. Like, anybody who
Right.
meets me, I'm like an all out like, I go from being like a super serious physics researcher to all of a sudden I'm this
A
goofball who
goober. A goober.
Yeah.
and uh, um
I'm a
so
goober.
so what ended up happening is Katie wanted to play a game. She tried to get Tommy to do a hopscotch game. Tommy
Mhm.
wasn't responding at all.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
it's funny when you listen to Katie, because Katie, when I'm looking at the footage, she goes, "I know you like John better," and so she had me go and try to play the game. The moment I called out to Tommy, the because we were using the tripwires. We lined it up, and we were trying to do like a hopscotch game where we would
Right.
try to jump and do opposite sides and such. So as soon as I did it, boom, there was a response. Then I said, let's do a practice run. There was a response. And at that point, I had forgotten multiple times to bring a toy, and I promised him,
Oh.
he has a good memory. He stopped responding, and when I asked, is this because I forgot to bring the toys? And all of the strips in the,
Oh, you were in trouble.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I love it.
I brought the toy the next time.
Right.
Yeah, I bet you did. Yeah,
Right.
I've got one person on my team that we all joke that if the resident skeptic is on an investigation, we're not going to have any activity.
Yeah.
It happens.
Right.
But
So-
he did get an experience at one of the investigations, but a very small one. And he's like, I can't debunk that. And I'm like, yeah, I know you can't.
Right.
So
right.
maybe we've got him open to where he can, we'll have activity with him there. But yeah, we've got one that we just, it's like, do we really want to take Jim?
Yeah, right. And you kind of need that too. I mean, there's going to be a skeptic that's going to go on the investigation that we're going to do on the 18th in Rock Island, and he's never had an experience, paranormal or supernatural or anything like that. So it's kind of like he's saying I don't believe. It's just the fact I've never had experience, and so I can be kind of skeptic, which is fine. But his frequency is different, and I think that it'll be a good fit. You know what I mean? So if he doesn't have any experiences, I'm sure he will. And I'm
Yeah,
excited.
me too. I have a camera on him when it happens.
Yeah, right. So
I said that from the very beginning. I want a camera on him when he sees his first full body apparition.
Right.
His mouth will be literally down to his belly button.
Right. Yeah. Right. So getting back to the Wildwood, it seems to me that since you have such good rapport there, is there other places that you have a similar rapport to?
Not as much. I mean, I've gone to several other locations multiple times. The most recent one is the Sweet Home Estate. I've been starting to make rapport with some of the spirits there. Again, most notably the kids again, because we played a game, and Ed, the owner, there's a child's room in there, and he usually plays like cartoons or something like that for them. He'll just leave a tablet in there for them, and other different things. So we tried to play a game with some of the kids up there. There was one point where we did I think it was a type of hide and seek game, and we had the spirit box going. We were asking them, okay, you need to count down before you go look or something like that. And we actually heard kids counting down.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
There was one point where we tried to do a FaceTime. I was like, we're going to try something, they may not, I was like, I'm sure you've never seen this before. So we put one phone in the room with some tripwires, and some team, or I was with another team. They invited me out, so we decided, let's try this. I put my tripwires in there. They put some cat balls down, and we put a phone in there, and we did a FaceTime. So we were in the kitchen, and we had this up in the upstairs area in the child's room, and we were trying to get them to do things and go up to the phone and wave. Come on, come up and wave to us and give us the peace sign or something. And we kept on watching the phone blur. Every time we were asking to wave, it was like someone was coming up, and it was like picking up, and it was just like it started blurred.
Very cool.
So we had a lot of fun with that. At some points, yes, there were some activations of some equipment, and some of it was on command. Then afterwards, apparently there were some. Ed said that when I wasn't around there, he said during the time period between the next from that point until the time we showed back up, the kids had called out for me.
Oh, wow.
So I think we're starting to head in that direction there. Wildwood Sanitarium, I know it's funny because there was a live that was done there, and I ended up getting contacted saying, the spirits of Wildwood are looking for you. They're asking where you are. But to me, that's the importance of going to these locations and establishing a rapport. Because I'll tell you, one of the spirits that, I know I use Wildwood as an example, but it's a really good one. Dr. Perry, he's typically a man of few words there. He, for the longest time, he would always tell me to get out when I would go up to the third floor. And it took a while, but once Jeremy and I went up there, we established why we were there, because there was a whole roofing project. It's a restoration project. We were trying to support it, support the owners, Lori and Brooke, because they're trying to. Oh,
it's okay. He's still here somewhere. But keep going.
We were trying to assist with helping them bring in funds to restore
absolutely
the roof. The thing is that if the roof were to fall, collapse, the first place to go would be Dr. Perry's area that he typically resides in. So I went up there and I said, I know you typically tell us to get out, and you may be frustrated that we are here all the time, despite you saying this. But I said, understand that we respect what you and Dr. Henderson did when you were all alive. We respect this place; it's historical. We respect we respect all that. And I said, the reason we're here is we're raising funds to save this area, to save your area, to save the roof, because if the roof collapses, your part of the area is going first.
Oh, yeah.
And despite the fact that you've told us to get out a numerous amount of times, we're still trying to help you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ever since then, we never got to get out from him again.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah, it's the same thing that I'm getting over at the Octagon Hall, because I've been up there now 3 times. And every time that I go, the experiences that I have get stronger. They get more prevalent and more displayed, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But I've also wanted to have one that I could definitely say, yeah, this is my place. This is where I come to go ghost hunting. And there's a couple of friends here in the area that they have their own places. There's a new one that's about ready to come online that our guest that couldn't make it was going to be that's his place. And I've been out there now with him twice. And the first time I was out there, they were a little bit upset because I'm a Northerner. I'm a Yankee. And this house is steeped in Confederate history. And so the last time I went, I took the Confederate Pledge of Allegiance with me. And in the middle of the main room, I said the Confederate Pledge of Allegiance. And we had activity that night, to the point of where we got a full-on conversation between a man and a woman.
That's awesome.
It was perfect. It's like, okay, that's what I needed to do. That's exactly what I needed to do. Yeah.
I think that it's kind of, once you have that relationship with them, if you go back, it's not, you don't make a one-time journey.
No.
Because it's like meeting a person meeting a person one time and then that's it. It's like, you're not going to know who this person is. They're not necessarily going to know who you are. You don't know who they are. And once you meet each other more and you talk more, you establish this relationship. That's where I see that the activity tends to change, but it changes in a way that they tends to be more positive, in the sense that they become comfortable, they're willing to talk to you, and then then you're able to start asking, going, can you help me out with this? Like I do that at Wildwood all the time. I'm looking to do this research project. Can you help?
Right.
And then there's a response that we got, because we started, this is kind of a bit weird, but this is the relationship that we have. We asked if they would be willing to start what we call the spiritual science team. Now, I heard they have their own name on the other side for it, but it was my brother, Dr. Henderson, and one of the nurses from Wildwood that are teaming up, and they're basically helping us with experiments. We actually do presentations where we put up a screen and everything. We show them data that we found. We'll play some of the evidence for them. We look to get their responses. We essentially have meetings with them. even from other locations, we'll bring them stuff and say, can you help us with this? One of the responses when we said, can you help us with this? Over the spirit box, there was a gentleman, which it sounded like Dr. Henderson. He said, "We're ready to help."
Wow, that is awesome! Absolutely awesome. That
So, a paranormal research
I'm
team on the other
I'm
side.
so excited that I can't contain myself when I think about it, but I'm so excited that there's so many of us as paranormal researchers who are actually being researchers.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually gathering data, we're actually forming theories, we're testing those theories and trying to find out what's going on here. Unlike unlike what the field was when I started back in 2010, where it's just go out and get yourself scared. And
Yeah.
that's just not what we're here for at all. So he's back again. He's about ready to come on. There he is.
There I am. Yeah. No,
There
that's
you
what
are.
happens when you don't have your computer really anymore, and you have to do things on your phone until you get a new one.
Oh.
Your
Uh-huh.
phone overheats in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I
but
hate summer.
it's all right. All right.
I
What I
hate
miss?
summer. Not very much. We had the rest of our conversation. You'll have to catch it on the replay.
I guess so.
Well, the biggest thing you miss is we discussed the official facts about the universe and everything.
Yeah.
So everything
It's
is
solved.
explained.
Man,
Yeah,
I
we've got
freaking missed
done.
it. Shit.
See?
Damn it. Freaking
Now,
technology.
replay.
I tell ya.
Replay, dude. Replay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's not, and the answer is 42.
no shit. Are you sure?
I have
Oh,
signed
man.
Douglas Adams books, by the way.
Oh. Hey, speaking of books, don't you have a book coming out, John?
Yes.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you.
First one?
It's technically second one. The first book I've kind of I've pulled off the market for the most part. I mean, it wasn't really going anywhere, but I look back at it now and I'm like,
what the heck was going through my head?
This one,
watching that would probably be your bestseller watch.
Now we all know about it. We're gonna go get
it. Right.
There's the new book is titled Paranormal Puzzle: The Illuminated Loners. It's I'm aiming to get it out by the end of October, latest November.
Nice.
And it's a book dedicated to my brother. It's basically essentially the story of both of us, the haunting we went through, the research, our thoughts on. Basically, it talks about our discussions about what we found in life, and then it also explains about that day, what happened, and how it changed the mission and all that. So it kind of gives a view that people didn't know. They knew we had conversations. People who have met us know that we were very in depth or like really deep into the research and stuff. But how far and what led us to all this and what led up to the moment that he took his life, the book goes into all of that.
So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you guys have any scientific background at all, or have you just garnered what you could as you've proceeded throughout the years?
So pretty much the latter. We don't have any scientific background. Jeremy was very self-taught, but if he brought some of his work to some professors, and he blew their minds because they were asking him what his degree was, and he didn't have one. Very cool. It's the same with me. Our team, because we started identifying different trends, and see, there's so much stuff online that I could even some scientists that post things on YouTube and all that. I go and I watch the videos. How do you do this? And then, of course, naturally for me, I need to see consistency. So I'll look across and see if other people are saying the same thing, or is it just one person? But then with my job that I originally had, I became the leader and developer for a new division called Training and Intelligence Division, and it focused a lot on collecting intelligence for potential safety, security related issues. I was a security lieutenant, and there was a person that I met that knew how to do all these pivot tables, and they knew more about trend identification and such. So I actually sat down with her and I was like, "Can you teach me more about this?" Because I knew how to do statistics, but I didn't know it on her level. So she taught me, and I applied it into my paranormal research. So I've been getting knowledge from so many areas, and many very creditable. Our team ended up getting contacted by a university professor, State University at Albany. His name was Dr. John Foley. Unfortunately, he passed away. But he saw what we did because there was a project we were working on where we were attempting to pinpoint certain activity before it happens. We ended up having an 89.4% accuracy.
Oh, far out.
Yeah, that was the first time we did it. And I'm not going to say that we got 89.4% every time. We had many different fluctuations. That was our highest average, or our highest score. And the person knew the owner of the restaurant that we did this at, because I basically walked into the restaurant. I said, I don't want you to tell me anything. I don't want you to tell me where you've seen go or any apparitions. I don't want you to tell me where you heard noises. I'm going to tell you. You tell me after.
And that's the way I like to do it too.
And we based it off of what our studies were, the statistics that we had, and tried to see if the statistics for all these other areas that we gotten, and they were more baseline. And tried to see if we could apply it to this place that we've never been to. And with that accuracy level, he ended up knew this professor because he came and said the professor was a part of a band. So he contacted him and said, "You gotta hear what happened." So he contacts him, and all of a sudden, I'm getting a phone call out of the blue from this professor, and that he had two research teams based out of New York and California, and he wanted to meet up and learn about the research we were doing. So I ended up bringing a bunch of stuff. I had statistics and stuff ready for him, and when he looked at the stuff, he was like, "This is creditable." And I remember at one point, and keep in mind, this is a professor I'm talking to here. I asked him, I said, "You never really asked me about my certifications. You never asked me about a degree. Don't you have, is there any, isn't that
like requirements that even be talking to you?"
And
unfortunately.
And he said, it does. He told me that, no, it doesn't matter. If you can bring to me information, and you have your documentation all lined up and it's plausible, it doesn't matter who it comes from.
Right. That's exactly right.
And I was blown away by this. And now my family could tell you this, and even past friends and such. I am known for being one of the most stubborn people, especially back then. My parents couldn't stand it when I was growing up, because I was right. It didn't matter if you proved it to me that I was wrong. I was right because I'm John Griffin, and that's it.
Are you a Taurus?
No, Leo.
Oh,
yeah.
My personality started to change because there was a point where there was a hypothesis I had. My hypothesis was wrong. The person who proved it wrong was myself, but I couldn't accept that it was wrong because I can't be wrong. So imagine that conflict. The professor said something I needed to hear, and it was something so simple. He goes, because to me, it's like, if you're going to be a scientist and all that, how could you be wrong? Like, it doesn't ruin your credibility and such. And he looked at me and he goes, "John, remember this: researchers have the right to be wrong."
Ooh, I like that.
And then I brought that to my brother, and my brother, he was happy to hear this because he knew I was stubborn too. Jeremy goes, I would like to add to that. Every wrong answer is an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
basically, and so I kind of have to say it a John Griffin way, because I'm like, okay, let me translate this just so I can make sure I'm understanding this. You're saying that all these answers, when I'm closing a door, you're saying that I'm essentially going to, it's leading to the right door. Eventually I'm going to open up the door and I'm getting closer. It's not like because you get an answer, you find out, for instance, the hypothesis is wrong, and it's like you feel like you're back at square one, where you're actually not at square one. You've been walking down a series of a long hallway with a bunch of doors, and you're making your way towards the door that inevitably is going to be it.
You've eliminated possibilities.
Yeah, and I never saw it that way. I just saw it as a wrong answer. I'm back at the beginning. I suck. This is terrible.
No.
Right.
The
No.
whole process of research is eliminating possibilities.
Right.
And it's something I had to learn. It took years, and I wish I had learned it sooner. I wish stubborn me was more open back then. But I'm grateful.
But you learned it now. You know. I mean, yeah. I mean, everybody's a late bloomer. I don't care who you are. There's always somebody's a late bloomer on something.
I don't even think it's late blooming. I think it's that we all bloom at our own specific time.
Yeah. It may
Some
be
of us
just
take longer.
It may be that, you know what, it sounds weird because I'm going into more of a spiritual part here, but it's almost like, the universe is setting you up for when you need to have it.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Exactly.
Oh,
well, that's something me and Kelly both know that. Yeah, we know that personally. Shit.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just talk about my last year.
Yeah, tell us something we don't know. Yeah, so, anything goes on this show. So you can swear, you can talk about whatever you want. So it's all good.
Yeah. I can go and be your hypothesis for that. Man. The last 5 years for me. I mean, the last 6 years, 6 years basically for me have been just, oh my God, incredible. Just, I never, ever pictured myself to be where I'm at right now.
Right.
And the universe set me up the whole way.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you're believing that this just happens by chance,
it doesn't. No, there are no coincidences. There are no coincidences.
There's a logical answer for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's the way you got to think about it. But with your research, John, I mean, I'm sure that you guys write papers.
We have been doing documents that we've trying to formalize everything now. So now that I've gotten even more experience and such, and again, doing 17 years of security work and having to focus on, well, what if this were to go to court and all that? That's kind of my mindset. I'm not saying my documents would go to court, but it's like,
right.
You think about that though. You have to, well, that's what a scientist has to do. I mean, you got to think about this is going to be reviewed by other people. And that's, I mean, there's a lot of people that will go out and they'll find evidence, but okay, unless you have evidence of what happened, it's just a great story.
Yeah. We do, show our evidence, so to speak, every so often, but a lot of our stuff we hold in, we're analyzing, and we're setting it up that we're trying to get everything organized to send out to universities, and the people that we're looking to send them out to, we're looking for people that have that open mind, that are more of a neutral standpoint, because for us it's like, for me, I've gone through, different phases of types of research, and my research is now officially on a neutral standpoint, where it's verification. It's not skeptic. It's not believer. It's, I've got to shut all of that off, because otherwise there's the unconscious bias.
Right.
I'm looking for those specific scientists that are out there at the universities and such that have that neutral standpoint where if I approach them and say, I've got this paranormal research I've been doing, they, oh no.
Yeah. Right. You know Shane Feith, my other host, right?
Yeah.
You know Shane. Okay. Talk about, documenting stuff and being scientific and everything. Picking his brain. I mean, seriously. I mean, that's something he would be great as a, if he were to come visit with you guys and investigate and talk about the scientific ramifications of this and the evidence of this and everything. Yeah, he's very smart and yeah, pick his brain sometime, and he loves that, and
Mhm.
I mean, that's what he does. And I have to tell you, because there's times where I talk to him and I feel dumb. I'm not kidding. I'm just like, man, stop. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel dumber, because I don't know the scientific side of it. So talking with you, John, and talking about the scientific ramifications of things and the evidence and all that is truly interesting and fascinating to find out how you come up with the hypothesis of things and how you guys use, like your last one, use mirrors and even what Kelly said with the type of mirror, I mean, so all this thing plays into, finding real evidence. And I think that you're totally right on the track. I mean, you have been. I've been watching your stuff and with you and I and Paranormal Puzzle, Paraplex, and you guys know your stuff.
I gotta write that
So
down. I
anybody,
gotta go watch
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, anybody that doesn't know who John is, you're living under a rock. So
I come
yeah,
out every now and then. Hey.
every now and then. Yeah.
No, I'm one of
But
these ones where I don't like to watch other groups, but I've started to find that with Paraflix, I can find groups that are actually uh, like my team is, because my team, we do not identify as ghost hunters. We identify as paranormal researchers.
I,
So,
I'm I am the same way.
mhm,
For me, the three are very different,
they are.
um,
They
and
mhm.
are.
and and I've been through all the phases. I've done the ghost hunting stuff. I've collected stuff. No data. No nothing.
Mhm.
I went into investigations, going into residentials and businesses, and then um, I focused on the research. And the reason I'm focusing more on the research now is in order to be able to help people more, you have to know you have to have like understandings of what's going on. So when I'm walking into a place, I'm going, well, this is unexplained, but blah 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 blah. Here's what's happening.
Mhm.
It's like, but it's
Right.
unexplained. How can I tell you what's actually happening?
Right.
So
Right.
it's like a doctor going in and telling you and diagnosing treatment and everything with a new disease that's never been researched.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Right. Right. Right.
so that's kind of so what I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it not. I mean, also of course for the scientific community, but for also the paranormal community, is that I'm trying to get this data, and I'm trying to um, do research so that I could put stuff together, put it out there, and whether people want to look at it or not, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
if it
Right.
Right.
helps somebody
Right.
pursue and move their research forward,
Mhm.
then we've done
Hmm.
our job. Um,
Hmm.
and
And
Yeah.
it also helps to test the theories at different locations.
yes,
Because is it going to happen the same way at a location A as it did location B? Does location C have the same thing? Because unless we can start finding the patterns between all of the different locations, we're not on something that's going to be a set thing, you know.
you said something that just clicked something.
Oh,
One of the
cool.
people that commented, Jeremy York, towards the
Hmm.
beginning, another leader for Paranormal Team Things, he did an experiment and he talked to me about his results, and then he asked if I could try it. So I went and did it at a couple other locations. I actually sent him back the data,
Oh, nice.
and it come to find out what he was working on did change the dynamic of the haunting, and it was something so simple, and it caused other people once they saw that to go and test it at other locations.
Oh,
So
now I'm interested. Now I'm very interested.
Yeah. Yep.
Your
Are
picture
you
just
still
keeps
there?
getting weirder.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right.
You just look really funny right now, Jay.
I know. I'm
Um,
trying to cool my phone so it doesn't shut off.
oh, put it in front of the put it in front of the air
That's
conditioner.
what I'm doing.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
the
Yeah,
trials and tribulations of
can you
this.
share what it was that he changed the dynamic of the investigation?
Uh, yeah, yeah. So I mean, he did his a bit different, but it was something as simple as a dog whistle. Um, so
Okay,
he was blowing a dog whistle, but dog whistles have different frequencies depending on which dog whistle you use. It could be
exactly.
18,000 hertz, 20,000 hertz, 22,000 hertz. So I mean, depends on which one you use. I used a dog whistle at Wilson Castle. It changed a bit of the dynamic there. And then I at Wildwood Sanitarium, I warned them. I said, "Listen, I don't want to ruin our relationship. I don't know what this does to you. I have questions."
Mm-hmm.
So we did a baseline at Wildwood. Okay, here's our typical baseline. Yep, the statistics are normal. We did the dog whistle. Tried to see what reactions we got from that. We saw the stats start to change, and then the areas that were typically active just depleted,
Oh
and
wow.
the
Mm.
basement, which is not the most active area in the place at all, the stats just like shot up. And so after doing this for many years, and then this happened, it literally, if you were to see all our statistics of the times we've been there versus this
Right.
one experiment, it
Right.
changed, it flipped it completely.
Oh wow.
Now
Wow.
it eventually went back to normal. So if we go there now, we get our regular trends,
How
uh,
long did it take to go back to normal?
just within the day.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
All right. So it
Yeah,
wasn't a long period of time.
yeah, no, no, no. Once we went back there the next time, everything was normal. So I mean, um, but yeah, it was like it's like it killed the activity. It was
Wow.
really weird.
Mm.
Wow. That's See, now
See, these are yeah, yeah,
I'm starting to think about frequencies, and I'm starting to think about frequencies of spirits, and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
vibrates at a certain does this interrupt their frequency? Does it make them go, "Oh, my ears hurt?" I mean, what is it
There's
that
so
this
many
is
different
doing?
avenues that you could study frequencies and spiritual um,
Mhm.
emotions and frequencies and yeah, the it's endless. I mean,
Right.
take you could go down a rabbit hole and not come out. Yeah,
I can get out of the rabbit holes. It just takes me a while.
yeah,
I like
right,
my rabbit
right,
holes. Wow, this is
right,
cool.
right.
This is very cool. I'm gonna send you a friend request on Facebook so I can, watch
Yeah,
you watch you
yeah,
work.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we're about out of time right now, and plus
Yep,
the fact
we
that I don't
are.
want to lose my phone because
Yes.
I
Yes.
suck.
I
But
no well, no, you
I
just
digress.
haven't made a decision. No, it's not that you don't suck. It's just you haven't made your decision yet.
I know, I know,
And when it's time
I
to
know.
make the decision, you'll make the decision.
Right. On whether I get a new system or not get a new system.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Right.
thank you
So we
for
want to
stepping
thank.
in.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, John. We want to thank you so much
Absolutely.
for. Yeah. It's been another great show because of the fact that your information on your research is unparalleled. It's fascinating, and I can't wait to see what you're doing next.
Yeah.
And yeah. And good luck
Thanks
with
so
that book,
much.
that second book, the one that you
Yeah,
won't,
good luck.
the other one you won't talk about. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
my first one's going to be born in 2024. So,
Nice.
yeah,
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 so I get the feeling.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So we want to thank everybody for tuning in,
Thank you
and
all.
yeah,
Appreciate it.
and next Monday we have another guest that I don't remember who it is. It'll
Oh,
be a
and
surprise.
I didn't bring my folder down. It'll be a
That's all right.
surprise.
It'll be a surprise. Yep.
It's the one before, so it's going to be Chris Sumner. Chris Sumner
Oh, Chris
from
Sumner.
the
Right.
Scott County Jail here in Tennessee.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay. Nice.
Yep, I
Nice.
just got her bio and stuff in the email the other day.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you could find this show on Studio 6 Productions, which is also on Ghost Planet Network on Roku. So yeah, this will be uploaded not sure when, but I'm sure soon. So you can check us out there. Please check out John and you and I and Paranormal Puzzle on Paraplex, because that is an awesome show. So again, I want to thank everybody. You can find us on every outlet: Facebook, Twitter,
Yep.
and Instagram. And John, where can we also find you besides Paraplex and Facebook?
We do have Twitter. We are primarily on Facebook though, with the Path to Communication, as well as Paranormal Puzzle by You and I Research,
Okay.
and Twitter, where there is well, we're listed as Paranormal Puzzle, but they can find us with You and I Research, as well as TikTok.
Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm on TikTok too. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
the
on
new
TikTok.
trend.
I'm not on
No.
TikTok. No.
so
Yeah. It's
so
all
yeah. So
videos,
and
and I do videos. So
yeah. So this episode will be uploaded to everywhere you get your audio podcast. So thank you again, everybody. Thank you,
yes,
John,
thank
and
you
I
so
thank you,
much.
Kelly, and everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Yes, please do. It's a great Labor Day.